Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. I feel like it's been ages since I uploaded anything, but unfortunately I've had so much on lately with school holidays and people visiting. Anyway, I knew I'd better get this one out because it's not a timeless reading and I'm running out of time. But anyway, this is a new moon solar eclipse in Libra, so slightly bigger than just a new moon reading. And I think this one might be the last eclipse in Libra that relates to the current nodal axis of North Node in Aries and South Node in Libra. And so we'll check that out in a moment. But before we do, those of you who are interested can join me in doing the love pause. This is where we pause the video and consciously send some love out into the universe, or we can choose to do a Ho'oponopono prayer. And this is just so that we're taking a moment to do something to lift the energetic vibration of the collective. So thanks to everyone who does this, and I will see you on the next slide. All right, in terms of the format for this video, I will start with a brief look at the astrology for the solar eclipse, and then I'll go into the tarot spread that showed up in relation to this eclipse. Now, I like to get these readings out a few days early so people can have an idea of the energies to expect before the actual event. And I would actually have liked to get this one out just a little bit earlier than this, but I just wasn't able to find time to do it, unfortunately. Now, in terms of the video, if you're more of a tarot person, you can skip the astrology section. I do personally find the astrology and tarot tend to connect with each other, but you don't have to listen to the astrology part if you're not interested in that. There will be timestamps for the different sections in the description box. And this is our solar eclipse chart. I've just zoomed in on it and highlighted different sections. Now, as you can tell from the purple highlighted section, there's a concentrated area of activity over on the right-hand side of this chart, and that's actually where the eclipse point is. So we have the Sun and the Moon conjunct at 10 degrees of Libra, and they're also conjunct Lilith and Mercury, and they're also conjunct the South Node, making this a South Node eclipse. I think I mentioned it in one of the earlier videos, maybe even the last one, but I think I've read that North Node eclipses tend to activate new things entering our lives, whereas South Node eclipses tend to activate endings. So this might be more that kind of eclipse. And of course, because it's a solar eclipse, it's also a new moon, which we would typically see as the start of a new cycle and a good time to set intentions for what we'd like to manifest. And I think the fact that it's an eclipse will mean that there would be stronger energies to support those intentions of things that you would like to manifest. So do have a little think about what you'd like to see more of in your life, and then do some daydreaming about it. And I think that's probably the best way to manifest, because when you're daydreaming, you can actually kind of experience the joy and happiness and pleasure of those dreams as if they've already come true for you. Now, the combination of South Node and Lilith energies with this eclipse makes it a very interesting one. So the South Node is obviously about who we've been in past lives as well as in this life. And Lilith is a wild and rebellious energy. So with Lilith comes the desire to be free, to feel liberated, to experience our deepest and truest desires, to not be controlled or restricted by others anymore. So those kinds of energies. And that combination seems very much as if you're going to be rebelling against the ways in which your South Node has been holding you back and stopping you from becoming who you truly want to be, or stopping you from experiencing the things that you truly want to experience. So that definitely seems like it could be volatile. So that's a possibility. And of course, we also seem to have a Mars square to this eclipse, which can add more drama. And Mars is actually in Cancer. So that's one of the planets highlighted in red. And if you can see that red line across the chart, that's drawing the square from Mars to the eclipse. So Mars is actually in Cancer, and it's actually debilitated in Cancer. And Cancer is quite an emotional sign, so I think it's a difficult place for Mars. And this can manifest in nippy little ways, I guess, mood swings, irritability, and passive-aggressive kind of tendencies. Now, the other thing that strikes me as interesting is Cancer is the sign we associate with home and family, and Libra is the sign we associate with close relationships and partnerships. So all of that makes me feel like this could be quite personal, really, whatever little squabbles come up. It could involve people that you are quite close to. Now, I forgot to talk about it, but Mercury is also part of this conjunction, and that brings the mind into it. So Mercury involved with all this emotional energy might mean more anxiety and a tendency to overthink everything. But actually, Mercury in Libra is a pretty good placement because Libra is also an air sign, and Mercury obviously rules Gemini, which is another air sign. So Mercury in Libra, that can be a good energy because Libra is obviously about balance and harmony, and Mercury here might bring the art of diplomacy and sensitive communication into the picture. The ruler of the solar eclipse is Venus, and Venus is involved in a grand water trine at the time of this eclipse. So we've got Venus in Scorpio, and that's highlighted in red just past the eclipse purple highlighted section. So Venus in Scorpio is there, and this grand water trine is involving Mars in Cancer, which I've just pointed out to you, and the other planet involved is Saturn in Pisces, and they're all highlighted in red here. Now, trines are really positive things because all of these planets are basically supporting each other strongly. So we have Mars and Venus involved, and they are the planets that represent our masculine and feminine energies. And then we also have Saturn involved, which is about structure and principles. Now, Saturn is in Pisces, and that means we're getting both outer planet support here, but also spiritual perspectives because of that Piscean energy there. So this grand water trine looks like it will be good. And of course, all of the water signs are associated with emotion, intuition, and psychic sensitivity. So I can see this being a source of emotional strength and a sense of knowing in relation to what we truly want and need. The three outer planets we've been talking about for a while, that's Neptune in Pisces, Pluto in Capricorn, and Uranus in Taurus. And I highlighted them all in green, and that's obviously that minor grand trine that's been going for a while. And I've been calling it the divine interplay because of how these powerful planets are working together. Now, they're all in retrograde now, so this may be having a more internalized effect on us. And I think, lastly, there's one more thing, and that is a sextile between Chiron retrograde in Aries, which is towards the bottom of the chart, and Jupiter in Gemini. Oh, sorry, I've got them run the wrong way. So Chiron retrograde in Aries is on the left side of the chart, and Jupiter is towards the bottom of the chart. So a sextile is also a nice connection. So it means that I'm seeing this as maybe a good time. There's good support for any healing themes that are playing out in our lives. So all in all, there's a few interesting things going on here, but I think the main thing that I'm pulled to is that South Node Lilith kind of stuff going on. All right, and that's all I'm seeing with this chart. So I will now go over to the tarot section and see what comes up there. All right, so this here is the spread that showed up for this solar eclipse. For those who are interested in the decks that I've used, I'll have them listed on a slide at the end of the reading. Now, the tarot deck I've chosen today is heavy on female characters, but I will just remind everyone that tarot cards represent energies rather than genders. So even though we have so many female characters in the spread, this reading can be for anyone. I will probably lean more towards she, her pronouns because my mind automatically does that if I'm seeing female characters. But please don't take that as a significant point for this. Now, in terms of the oracle decks, which is where I usually start when I'm picking cards, I did decide to find a sun deck and a moon deck because of this being a solar eclipse. But then I realized I also had a Black Moon Lilith deck, so I decided that could be the third deck. So actually my intention was to get oracle cards that might represent that conjunction in Libra that we saw in the astrology section. And actually it was so fascinating because Mercury sneakily showed up as well. And it was the card that came from the Black Moon Lilith deck. So I feel like that conjunction is fairly well represented across the top of the spread. And I'm actually liking that because I feel like we might actually get to the bottom of what all those energies in conjunction will be about. Now, the bottom row is our tarot cards, and that's where I like to start channeling. But because I'm already seeing a connection between all those oracle cards on top, I think I might just mention that early. So what I was seeing across the top were all the keywords. So we had decision, realization, and communication and truth, as well as the sign of Gemini and the planet Mercury. So all of these things relate to the mind, and that fits perfectly with the fact that we have the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck. And so I get the sense that this means our minds will have to get into gear when it comes to the energies that are coming up with this solar eclipse. In fact, when you think about it, the concepts of realization and truth in that top row actually both are keywords that I would associate with the Ace of Swords. And I consider the Ace of Swords to be cardinal air energy, which goes with the sign Libra. And so here we are at this new moon solar eclipse in Libra, and we've got Ace of Swords types of energies up there in the oracle card messages. We also, as I said, have the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck, and this made me think of Libra as well. And that's a bit unusual because I normally think of Aquarius with the King of Swords. But obviously the King of Swords is any air sign, so it can be Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. But the reason I thought this one was Libra is because we have a female King of Swords here. So this particular deck has two cards for each king. So there's a male version and a female version. And the one that showed up for this spread is the female version. And the reason I am associating it with Libra is because Libra is the only air sign that's ruled by what we would consider a female energy because it's ruled by Venus, whereas Aquarius and Gemini are ruled by Uranus and Mercury, so they're masculine energy. So I think I was just getting Venus from this card. So I'm feeling this is Libra energy again here at the bottom of the deck. And in terms of the other air signs, we do have the mention of Gemini and Mercury. So that's the mutable air sign. So we've got cardinal and mutable air energies showing up in the spread. And that makes me think that we are talking about a time of initiation, things being started and things changing. Okay, now the actual card, this King of Swords card, has an interesting image on it. And in fact, every time I see this card, I get this fairy godmother vibe, and that's because she actually looks like she's holding a magic wand from a distance. And so it makes me think of transformation again because of how there was a fairy godmother in the Cinderella story, and she got, everything ready for this ball by magically transforming Cinderella as well as a few other things around her so she could have a carriage and coachman and so on. So again, magic in that card, like fairy godmother would be magical transformation. So that's an interesting energy to have at the bottom of the deck. But that's just, like I said, I always see the fairy godmother, but the actual image is showing this King of Swords holding a needle and thread, and it's actually a sparkly thread that she's been using to embellish her dress. So there's all these little stitches she's been making in her dress to make it shine more, I guess. So again, that's giving us a sense of someone who's trying to transform their appearance from drab to fab, I guess. So maybe that Cinderella story is still relevant, even though it's not a magical wand that we're talking about. But we'll see if that comes up later. I can't see too much, obviously, relating to that yet. But we are talking about the card at the bottom of the deck, so I think it could well be meaningful. Now, the first card in a tarot spread is the King of Cups, and he's in the past position. And actually, he's the only one that's shown up as a male character in this spread. But King of Cups is water sign energy, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. And I would normally read it as a Scorpio energy, but I'm thinking about how all the water signs were prominent in the astrology because of that grand water trine. So I think for this spread, I will just consider this water sign energy generally. Now, the King of Cups is a mature energy. He's compassionate, intuitive, sensitive, emotionally balanced and emotionally intelligent. So this card is showing up in the past position. So I would say this is the nature of the person in this spread. And the next card is the Ace of Wands, which is cardinal fire energy. So I would relate that to Aries. So the storyline I'm getting from those two cards is that we've got this King of Cups, this very big-hearted person who's been struck by something that really inspires his passion. And just like the girl in the Ace of Wands card, he can't take his eyes off this thing, and he can't take his mind off it either. Now that's what we're talking about in the present position. I do see the King of Cups as an emotionally deep person, and the Ace of Wands card is basically like falling for something hard. So there will be a lot of emotional intensity that is pulled into that passion as well. And the last card in the tarot spread is the Four of Pentacles, which to me is actually a card that is about a blockage. So this card being in the past position, in the last, at the end of the spread, is making it seem like it's the thing that needs to be overcome. The Four of Pentacles energy is someone who's being overly protective and defensive in relation to the life that they've created for themselves. So the Four of Pentacles actually isn't a lot of pentacles in the grand scheme of things, because obviously we can get up to 10 pentacles. But to this person, their 4 pentacles are a big deal. So they see their 4 pentacles as representing everything they've worked hard for, and they don't want to do anything to risk losing it. And this image is so interesting because the woman here is so focused on the life she has created that she is wearing it as her dress. And I guess what that means is that she considers it to be her identity. She feels that this is who she is. And I'm sorry, my pronouns are a bit all over the place here because of that male King of Cups. But we are still talking about the same person. So this is someone who's been swept away by the Ace of Wands, but they're too attached to their current life, and that is the problem. Now, in the Four of Pentacles card, this woman also has a fence all around her and padlocks on these fences. Now, the fence is something she's put up, but it's also a problem because while it is protecting her and everything she's created, it's also not allowing anything else to enter her life, and it's also stopping her from exploring what lies beyond that fence. So that's interesting. And that's the problem with the Four of Pentacles, I guess, is in order to protect what you have, you're basically having to block yourself off from everything else. Now, the padlocks are interesting because they have a visible keyhole, each of these padlocks, and then it's quite obvious that one of our oracle cards also has a giant keyhole on it, and that is the card that's titled Realization. And that image is of a girl standing at this giant keyhole, which is basically a portal from one world to another world. And she looks a little bit like Alice because she's got blonde hair and she's wearing a blue dress. And I guess Alice did travel into a different experience, so that's interesting. But I'm also now thinking about how Cinderella has blonde hair and is quite commonly shown in a blue dress as well, a blue ball gown. So that's kind of a random thing, but when things like that come up in a reading, I just assume that it might be meant as a sign for someone. So if you're out there and you start seeing blonde-haired women in blue dresses, that might be spirit telling you that this reading is of particular relevance for you. But anyway, getting back to this realization card, what I'm seeing is that the two worlds in this card, they're both beautiful. So one is a starry night sky and the other is showing this beautiful sunrise. And I feel like this is saying that both worlds are lovely, but the day has ended in one of these worlds, and a new day is beginning in the other one. And I think the message there is that as attached as this person might be to their current life, they will be coming to the realization that they have already experienced that life fully, and there's not a lot they're going to gain by sticking with it. And sure, there'll be a new day there, but it's going to be just the same day that they've already experienced. On the other hand, there's this new experience that's where they're seeing something dawning for the first time, and it's full of promise and potential. And if they step through that portal, they will encounter so many new possibilities in this new experience. And it's reminding me a little bit of the Fool card in Tarot, and it kind of makes sense because the Fool is someone who has set off on an adventure and has left a lot of their old life behind. They're taking very little with them, so they're only really taking what they actually have to carry with them, and the rest they're leaving behind. So for this person to follow their passion, they are going to have to stop being in the Four of Pentacles energy and become more like the Fool. So they step out of their fenced off life and get out into the world and see what happens for them. And I'm now being drawn back to the Four of Pentacles card, because that woman's dress was represented as, well, she was wearing it as if it was her identity. Her life that she was leading was her identity. And the reason I was pulled back to the dress is the realization that the King of Swords card also has a woman who's very carefully trying to embellish her dress and make it more sparkly. So I feel like there's something here, and that is that this person in this Four of Pentacles energy is the one who's been doing this. I feel like they were aware that their life was a bit bland and lackluster, and so they were starting to try to make it more interesting by, finding ways to embellish their current life. But when you look at that King of Swords card, you can see that the King of Swords is actually running out of their sparkly thread. And if they stay stuck behind that fence, they won't ever really finish embellishing that dress. And the dress in this reading is really a metaphor for this person's life. They're running out of ways to liven things up in their current life. Now, if they were to step into freedom, they would suddenly have access to all kinds of embellishments. So they could get other coloured threads, they could get sequins, they could get gemstones, they might discover other patterns or stitches that they can incorporate into their embellished dress, or they might even decide they want to wear a different dress altogether. So there's just so many options if they can step out of this fenced off area that they're in. And these are options to make their life better. So they could actually find ways to have many more pentacles than the four that they've been clinging so stubbornly to. And not just pentacles, but cups as well. They could find a lot more happiness by venturing out of this territory as well. The decision card is a Mars in Gemini card, and I'm also seeing that little doorway in that card, which again is that portal, like what are you willing to step across this threshold into something different? And this card also shows a chessboard, and the chessboard is an indication that this person has been trying to think of ways to get themselves through that door. So they've been trying to work out their best sequence of moves and so on. But it might actually be decision time now, so time to choose that door and time to commit to stepping through it. The last oracle card here is communication and truth, and the image here is of a woman's head, and it's actually missing the cranium part of the head. There's a moon rising, and I'm seeing the trees as growth that is basically growth that's not being limited in any way. And with these trees, there are also two birds in the image. And when I zoomed in to look at that image, they actually look like hummingbird silhouettes. So hummingbirds are symbols of joy and positivity. So all in all, this image is actually talking about freedom and growth and peace and joy. And it's saying that all of that is possible for this person. With the words communication and truth, it might be that it's also time to speak up and say what needs to be said. So maybe committing to the new initiative requires this person to speak up and make it clear to other people that they are stepping away from the life they were leading before. And that reminds me that this is a South Node eclipse, and we do have those Lilith energies of seeking freedom. So if there are conversations to be had, I think they will happen. Now, with the volatile energy that we're talking about with this eclipse, these conversations might not be nice, planned conversations. I think they perhaps might just happen, and perhaps in turbulent or unexpected ways, because something's triggered that exchange, if you know what I mean. And so the words that need to be said will get said. Maybe there'll be some anger, but it will be the truth. But what I'm getting from this is that the words will actually set this person free. So up until this point, everything has just been going on in their head. You know, they've been thinking and contemplating and strategizing and so on. But once the words are out, like once they've been said, it's not in their head anymore. Their intentions will have become apparent to everyone around them. And that will mean that the changes will start to happen in their life in a very tangible way. So this person's dream seems to be about joy and freedom, and that is what they're going to have to choose to commit to. So choosing to stay stuck in that older version of themselves will not really get them to where they want to go, which is this new free experience. And so, yep, that looks to me like the end of the reading. So I guess this solar eclipse is going to be about energies that are urging you to see the bigger picture, that life can only change for the better if you're willing to let go of what isn't working and choose to explore other possibilities. So that is a powerful solar eclipse message, I feel, and I hope it helps you. Wow, that was quite a reading. I hope that it helps you navigate the solar eclipse. Don't forget to set your intentions and focus on positive outcomes, because eclipse energies do unfold over many months. So I think your intentions can definitely influence the process of how things happen. Now, as promised, I've got on this slide the information about the decks that were used. The tarot deck in this spread was the Tarot of Mystical Moments, and the three oracle decks were Oracle of the Radiant Sun, Queen of the Moon Oracle, and the Black Moon Lilith Cosmic Alchemy Oracle. The crystal here is that large moon, which is made of chrysoprase. Finally, thank you all for all of your support. In particular, thank you to everyone who has already subscribed to the channel. If you enjoyed this video, please show your support by liking the video, making a comment, or sharing the video if you think it might be of interest to others. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you'd like to see more of my work in the future. And of course, you can choose to be notified of future uploads too. You can check out some of the other videos I've already uploaded, because other than these lunar readings that I do, the rest are mostly timeless readings, so you can watch them anytime. If you would like to support me on Facebook, this little thumbnail image is what my Facebook page looks like. And that's it. I hope to see you all in another video. Bye.